You are listening to Beyond the Wheel, a podcast about the people and ideas that drive the RV community forward.
Looking to get out there and stay out there? Battleborn Batteries lithium-ion batteries are here to power your RV, marine, and off-grid adventures. Designed as an easy drop-in replacement for traditional lead-acid batteries, these reliable solutions have 2 to 3 times the power, charge 5 times faster, are a fifth of the weight, and last 10 times longer. Offered in a variety of models in unique sizes and shapes, ranging from 50 amp hour to a robust 270 amp hour, and backed by a 10-year warranty. Battleborn batteries are built to fit your needs and power your experiences. On the road, on the water, and off the grid, reliable power is here. Check them out at battlebornbatteries.com. Hey everybody, and welcome to Driver's Edition. I don't know why it feels this way, but to me, it feels like it's been a little while since Sean and I sat down without a guest. But I think it's because you guys don't know this, but behind the scenes, we have been doing a lot of recordings for future episodes. That's what I'm going with. That's what I'm sticking with. I think that's the reason why it feels like it's been a while, Sean, since I've sat down and actually just talked to you one-on-one.
Yeah, and I think we're going to give a couple of hints away while we're talking today about some of the upcoming episodes. So that'll be a nice for our listeners to hear what's coming up.
Yeah, for sure. But a lot of the theming of this episode is going to be, the state of the RV industry. And I got to tell you, after kind of digging in and doing some research, it's in better shape than I would have ever expected it to be at this point. We just had incredible highs. I should say the industry has had incredible highs. And I really envisioned a huge drop off, but that is not the case. That is so far from the case, in fact, that our first article that we pulled is from Dyrt, DYRT, where they do analysis of the industry and they take surveys and things like that. And I was shocked to find out that the RV industry now has over 20 million RVers. 5.5 million of those RVers are brand new to RVing in just the last year alone. Sean and I said right before we got on here, it was not that long ago that I can remember that we were only at 12 million. That was maybe 5-6 years ago. We were at 12 million RVers. 2 years ago, I want to say that we were around 17 million. Actually, I guess it was a little less than that because it's saying that we hit about 17 million or 16 million. I guess we were around 16 million just about a year ago. It seems amazing to me that the industry is still growing after that big burst of growth that it had.
Yeah, I think when we first started, Kenny, when we first started the podcast, it was somewhere around 10, 12 million people.
Because of this growth, 45%, this is a great report, and I'll have this all in the show notes, but 45% of those campers reported difficulty booking a site because the campgrounds were sold out. And they found it 4 times harder to find an available campsite than it was back in 2019. I wonder if that is, it's difficult for us to get campgrounds even as seasoned RVers, but I bet you for the newbies, it's even more difficult because they don't know of all the tools that are out there to get a campsite.
Yeah, I had a couple thoughts about the camping difficulty, Kenny, and it doesn't surprise me because of the growth in RVers. And then, of course, we're going to talk a little later about another reason why I think it is, but I'll save that. But it has to do with the campgrounds, new campgrounds. But I think a couple of companies that we've talked to recently are going to help make it easier to see what is actually available. Because I think part of the problem is people are looking in a certain area and they might not see all of the campgrounds that are available. So I think like we talked to Adventure Genie, and with their AI tool, they're showing a lot more available camping than what you would typically see, I think, on a website. And with that AI tool, I bet it's more updated than what a lot of people have. And then the other thing, we just interviewed, it's not out yet, it's coming out soon, but Spot Tonight with their reservation system. And you could narrow down and see a lot of campgrounds in certain areas. So I think just knowing what's out there may help people with getting places to stay as well.
Yeah, I just actually hopped on that spot tonight the other day because my parents were trying to do a quick little trip and meet up with Sabrina and I in Florida. So I went to Spot Tonight's website to pull up to see what campgrounds could I find in Florida. And I was actually looking around the Orlando area, and their website, their search tool is so amazing that it brings up the map and then will actually show you on the map where the campsites are, and you just click it and it tells you the information. If you double click it, it brings you to the website, and then you can book it right there. So I think that Spot Tonight is really going to help people get a campsite, because I still feel like booking a campsite is a major thorn in everybody's RV side. The campgrounds just don't make it easy. Like, it's hard to find availability. When you call them, they don't always call you back. If you email them, they don't always email you back. It is difficult. And for these newbies that maybe aren't familiar with any of those tools that are out there, Spot Tonight, Passport America has a nice search tool, All Stays, the Trip Wizards. Like, until they learn how to use them, they're like throwing darts at a at a map in a sense, and just hoping that it's landing on a campground that has availability type of thing. It's that bad.
Yeah, I just think there's not a lot of visibility of every campground that's out there in one place. But yeah, so you got to know where to look.
Yeah, even the CEO kind of touches on this. The CEO of the Dyrt, they're saying that he believes we're in the golden age of camping. Demand for camping has never been greater, but at least the technology is now making it easier to find camping and property for these people to stay at, and to give us options, so that we're not, I don't know, on the phone all day looking for a place. We can
Yeah.
actually spend more time enjoying the campground rather than just looking for one.
Yeah, unfortunately, as we'll see a little later in the episode, there are some barriers for new campgrounds, but hopefully,
Mhm.
hopefully we get some more growth too in the campground area.
Yeah, and like Sean said, we'll get to it, but yeah, people still seem to have, there's some type of pushback when somebody wants to build a new campground. And one of our future episodes, again, well, we'll talk about it later. We'll talk about
Yeah.
it later. We'll continue with the report.
And this was an article from RV Business, right, Kenny?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just about all I'm not gonna say they're all from RV Business, even though they're not. I know there's a couple in there that aren't, but I use RVBusiness.com a lot for our research when it comes to the news and the state of the industry for the RVing world. So we'll say all of these are from RV Business, but I know there's one or two that aren't. I'm sure RV Business covered it as well. There's no way that any of these got by them. So I'm sure somewhere on their website they talk about them. There was a Tech Navio also did some research on RVing, and they're finding, and this I think is great, is that RVing is opening up to more generations. And I've seen that. I'm sure, Sean, you have seen that as well. When we got into RVing, everybody looked at us like we were babies.
Yeah.
we were in our 40s and be like, "Oh, you look a little young to be out here in an RV." We're no longer the babies. Now, I'm seeing 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds, and more of them. I'm starting to feel older at the campground. But I think it's great that younger people are getting into the RV industry. Or RV, well, not the industry, but getting into the lifestyle of RVing, because I just said this recently, not too long. I wish I would have known I was going to enjoy RVing as much as I do, because I would not have waited to my 40s to get into it. I would have started RVing at a much younger age. So I feel like I'm honestly late to the party.
And I think also, Kenny, a lot of the younger folks are getting more into RVing, kind of like a sentence in this article says is, there's more, and what the previous article said, technology is increasing so much that, you can have basically everything you have in your home in your RV, including television with all the same channels, probably Wi-Fi or wired internet in some cases. So the younger generations who are used to using and having that technology all the time, I can see why they're now getting into RVing, because it's almost seamless as far as technology goes.
Yeah, the television is actually a really good point because when we started RVing, and this wasn't that long ago, 7 years ago, maybe almost 8 years now, every campground kind of tooted, go cable connection, cable hookup. Well, now it's mentioned, but nobody seems to care anymore because of streaming services. People at home aren't using cable, they're using streaming services. And now you get into your RV and you can use those same streaming services. So when you leave your house, you're not leaving behind, oh, I'm going to miss my favorite TV show. I'm not going to catch, I don't know, Mandalorian, whatever it is while you're out traveling around. You are literally taking everything with you. The RVs now have like smart thermostats, which they never had before. I installed one in my RV from Microair. So I can program the thermostat that I have in my RV is more more tech savvy than the one that I have in my house. So yeah, all these things are making RVing more appealing to that younger generation, that tech involved generation. But it's also helping us too. I don't consider myself a very tech savvy person, but I enjoy the the comforts of what this new tech is providing. Lithium batteries. That I have enough power to be essentially plugged into 30 amp power everywhere I go, even while driving down the road. These are comforts that I don't know. They're not baby boomers. They're younger than that. They're Gen X, maybe even millennials. I guess even does it? I
Millennials,
think it
yeah.
even says, yeah, they're even including millennials in here. So that's just how much better as far as the comfort of RVing and traveling and staying connected is for everybody. Everybody is able to benefit from these new tech coming out. And if you're somebody that doesn't enjoy all the tech, not everybody likes tech, you don't have to. There's still plenty of bare bones models out there. And to be honest, you'll save a couple bucks going that way too.
Yeah, and then add-ons like Starlink and other internet services like that, where you can get internet virtually anywhere. Yeah, it's pretty easy nowadays.
Yeah, that's a good point too, because now as people are becoming more, as the, how do you say this? As the world is more comfortable with the idea from people working from home, you can literally now work from the road. Not everybody goes into an office anymore like it used to be. So, yeah, now you can work and play from your RV. Now you're getting, I would say, more value out of your RV because now it's not just a little weekender. You're getting almost like 24-hour use out of this. You're using it to explore, you're using it for work, you're using it for vacations. You're going to get that extra value out of this RV rather than having it, sit in your parking lot for I don't know however long. Just more use in general. Lippert also does a really nice report. Lippert, if you don't know, is an enormous RV company. They are a major player in the RV industry
Worldwide, I think.
worldwide. Yeah, their quarter and end of year financials are just astronomical. Major company, and RV Business actually labeled this article "What Goes Down Must Come Up," and it's again just strange to me just how well the industry is doing. But with that being said, they did notice a decline in their revenue. So Lippert finished 2023 with a $3.8 billion revenue, which is a decline from this time last year, which was 5.2 billion dollars in revenue. And that is on the Lippert side of thing. They even say here, that they believe it is because of a lower production level from the manufacturers. And Lippert is very, I would say they go hand in hand with manufacturing. They are pretty much the OEM choice when it comes to your slides, your jacks. I mean, there's so many things that it's I always forget what they make. So it makes sense if production for the RV is down a little bit, they're going to feel that because I don't think of Lippert. They have it, but I don't think of Lippert as a aftermarket. I feel like they really go hand in hand with the OEMs.
The nice thing is, though, Kenny, with all the RVs that were purchased over the last, during COVID and stuff, anything they do have that's consumer driven, not OEM driven, there's probably a better markup on that stuff. So they're
Hmm.
probably making some money on consumer items for sure.
Yeah, and it does say here that their plan for going into 2024 is to grow organically, which I'm not 100% sure what that would mean, and to acquire other companies and other businesses. And I wonder if going forward is Lippert looking into maybe more aftermarket style businesses. I could see Lippert. I don't think this would ever happen because SnapPad does very well on their own. But I could see Lippert approaching a company like SnapPad and saying, "Hey, why don't we work together a little bit more? Why don't we acquire your company, and then we can start introducing SnapPads on these RVs coming right down the line, and we can fulfill them on the aftermarket side of things as well." So I wonder if that is Lippert's strategy is to maybe look for some of these aftermarket companies and products that do very well and maybe absorb them into their $5.2 billion revenue.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It really is.
I like this next article, Kenny, on the Forest River, again from RV Business. Forest River consolidates no boundaries and ibex production, which are the ibex. I see those everywhere now.
Yeah, Jordan from Echo One Adventures. That's what he owns. His
Oh, okay.
personal his personal travel trailer is an Ibex, and his brother owns an Ibex. He was the first one I ever knew that had an Ibex. It's like one of those things where somebody mentions a car to you or a model, and you're like, oh, I never heard of it before, and then all of a sudden you see them everywhere. So once Jordan told me he had an Ibex, I was like, oh, I never heard of Ibex. But now, like you said, Troy, they're everywhere. You see them
Yeah,
all
they're
the time.
everywhere.
Yeah, and to be honest, I didn't know that they were built by Forest River. I didn't know Ibex was a Forest River.
I didn't either. Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. I don't feel so bad then. I feel like the two of us try to keep in the know of everything, but it's one, that the industry's always changing. People are constantly being bought by the bigger fish and things like that. So, maybe Ibex at one time was their own thing, and then Forest River bought them, and now they're just going to consolidate them. But the good thing about this consolidation, so when I first read it, I was like, oh, I don't know if that's really is that a plus for the consumer, and it is because when they combine these two, the No Boundaries and the Ibex, they're now going to be built in one location, which is going to free up a location. And the location that is going to be freed up is going to be turned into a enhanced parts and service center, which will be great for the consumer. We still need more locations to get our RVs serviced and taken care of for when they have issues.
The part that I liked about it was we were just interviewing yesterday an RV repair place, and we were talking about, some companies or some parts are harder to get than others. And if they have a central place like this, I bet it makes it easier for repair facilities to order parts and get them too if it's sort of a central location.
Yeah, and that episode will be coming out in a little bit. That was with Thermal Truck and RV Service. They're out in California. And I found that episode to be interesting too, as far as they share with us like what's the common issues that they see with RVs. They also share a couple tips on maintaining your RV so that maybe you don't need to see them as often. But it was interesting to hear how they are growing as well and what is on the horizon for their service center as they plan on to expand to accommodate more RVs. And they have a great mobile service, which is really what we were the most interested in. I was anyway. I really wanted to hear more about their mobile service because I think that is just so convenient for us RVers, full time or part timers, that you can be out, have run into some type of issue while on the road, make it to a campground and say, look, I can't really get my RV to you. Can you get somebody to me? And And it sounds like, yes, they can. And not just do routine stuff, but they can do service as well. Like not just service, I should say, but they can make repairs as well. They even mentioned changing out a radiator right at the campground for you. Some people say radiator, but I'm not sure. That could be my Philly accent.
Every time I've ever had to take my RV in for service, the hardest part has been, or the longest part has been waiting for the parts to arrive. So if more manufacturers can have an enhanced parts and service center that handles all their parts orders, maybe that will make it easier.
Yeah, I think it will. I think it will. And that's happening so that their closing date is soon. April 26th, I think, is when that is trying to close. I don't know. I didn't see it in the article anyway of when that service center is going to reopen or when that building will reopen as a service center. But I would imagine that they're going to work pretty hard and as fast as they can to get that back up and running. Moving on to another article. This is kind of getting, well, maybe it's not getting out of the industry in the direction it's going. I was going to say it was, but maybe it's not actually. KOA is doing something that I think is great. I love this article when I saw it and I read it. KOA is partnering with a company called Grit Freedom Chair, and it's a company that is making all-terrain wheelchairs. And I love this because you guys know I'm going to tie Winnebago in this a little bit because we've had Winnebago on the show talking about their accessibility enhanced vehicles. It's easier for people now in wheelchairs to go out and RV. KOA must be seeing this as well as they partnered with this company. So now when somebody gets to their campground, KOA is going to loan out. They're not even on charge for this all-terrain wheelchair. And we'll have a photo of it in our show notes so that you can take a look at it. It's slightly powered. I don't believe the whole thing is fully powered. I think you have the option of using power or pushing. It's got a little bit rugged tires on it. But now people will be able to enjoy the beach. They can take these, they're beach ready, dirt ready, sand and things like that. And I just think it's great that KOA is going to offer these for free and not charge somebody to take these out. Hopefully they're not misused. Hopefully parents aren't going to let their kids take, because when you see the photo of it, it looks like it would be a fun thing to drive around in. It almost reminds me of like the green machine, how it had the two sticks on it and you turned them in different directions and you could do spins and stuff. So hopefully people won't take advantage of this program. I don't know how KOA will say, oh no, you can't have one, but you can. That might be one of the things that they'll have to work out over time, that don't be taking these chairs away from the people that really need them, I guess is what I'm saying.
We were at a rally one time and it was in Texas where it's usually dry and easy to get around. And we were in a big field. The rally was in a big field. We had terrible weather. It was raining. And so it was real muddy. And there was a lady, there were some people there, a couple of people in wheelchairs. And once it rained and got muddy, some people who just had a regular wheelchair couldn't really get around. And this lady who was there, who I happened to talk to, she had MS. So she was either had to use crutches or things to help her walk, or she had to use a wheelchair. She had one of these. It wasn't this one, but it was actually a motorized all-terrain wheelchair. And she could get around everywhere in that thing. It was really cool. And I think it's great that KOA is doing this because a lot of KOAs have trails associated with them. And so those trails are usually dirt or sand or gravel. So this would be really cool for the people that are, in wheelchairs can go on those trails as well.
Yeah, and you mentioned crutches. Crutches don't work in mud either.
No.
That's a recipe for disaster. So KOA is beta testing this right now. It's not nationwide or anything like that. It's actually, I believe, only at one property. They're Terramore, I believe is how you pronounce it. And it'll be for the season of 2024. I'm just hoping that this is just like a home run for them and this expands and we do get to see it at more of the KOAs, especially the ones like you're saying, Sean, that have nature trails and things like that. I've stayed at a lot of KOAs that have trails, and this would just be fantastic to see.
And it's good to have them already at the campground for rental because it looks pretty beefy. So it's going to take up some space. If you're in a small RV or something, it's nice to know that you have the option of just renting one at the location.
I did wonder if it broke apart to be able to put into a trunk. I wonder if these wheels pop off. If you go to the show notes, you'll also see like in front of you, it has like a large like shaft and then a front wheel, but the front wheel is way out in front of you. So I would imagine that would have to come off to fit into a trunk or even an SUV. I wonder how portable it is to transfer from a vehicle, or do you need my aunt was confined to a wheelchair which was powered. It worked very different from this. It had magnets in the wheels. And as she pushed her wheels, the magnets would actually amplify her strength and turn the wheels faster so that she could get further on a single push. The downside to this wheelchair was that it was so heavy that we had to outfit our van to have a small crane that would pick it up and put it in the back of the van because there was no way you could pick it up. And it was so large that even if you got two strong people on it, you didn't have the room to be on both sides of it to slide it into a van either. Crane was really the only small crane, not
Yeah.
but a small little crane that would grab it from the overhead, pick it up and put it in. So I wonder how small does this break down, or do you need something like what we had from our aunt where you would have to like pick it up with a crane and put it in the back of a vehicle. But I love it. And I love, like you said, Sean, it's perfect that it's going to be right there at the campground, ready to go. And that's less maintenance. KOAs don't take care of it all. You're just on borrow it when you need it type of thing. This next article, I think Sean and I are kind of on the same page with. He's more excited about it seemed like I am when we talked about this before we started recording. But Mark Wahlberg, which I didn't even know if Mark Wahlberg, if it's the same Wahlberg that I'm thinking of, had anything to do with RVing. But he's building a all digital dealership for Airstream. So I'm going to stop right there. Sean, did you know that Mark Wahlberg had anything to do with RVing?
No idea.
Is it the same Mark Wahlberg? I believe it is.
No idea.
Okay. I'm pretty sure it is. So this Airstream dealership here in the article, they describe it as pushing the boundaries of technology with the launch of their first virtual digital connected Airstream dealership. So what this is going to do is you would go to their dealership and using VR in some way, you're going to get a virtual reality showroom where you can walk through a virtual Airstream, have a 360 view tour of this. And now that I'm reading a little bit more, Sean, you're doing this all from home. I thought this was in a building somewhere. I misunderstood it. So I guess for me personally, don't manufacturers already do this on their websites? Isn't there already a 360 view that you can kind of look at? I wonder how is this?
I think this is more like VR goggles type where you can actually go into the Airstreams and look around, move like you're moving. I don't know if you've ever done any VR stuff, but my cousin was a professor at a university and they had this VR program that they use for training teachers. So it was like you're in a real classroom. Kids are talking to you and stuff, and you have on the VR goggles, and it's super realistic.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. Is it realistic enough that you would purchase without actually seeing and touching one in person? Because that's the whole plan, is that you're going to virtually tour this and you could purchase it right from home without even leaving your house.
Let me tell you the reason why I like this. I've been thinking about it a little while now. And
Okay.
the reason why I like it is not for, like, I would go there and do a virtual reality tour to find the one that I really liked. And then I would see if there was somewhere close to me where I could go look at the actual physical RV. But then I would go back and buy it from a VR place for one reason. And that is all the paperwork. You have to go into the finance person's office and they try and sell you on a lot of extra BS stuff that you don't need, that's cost you a lot of money. And, they don't let you leave till they've hassled you for 15 or 20 minutes about these things. And all of the extra upsell stuff like that, I would buy it from them just to avoid that.
Yeah, that's actually an excellent point. Unfortunately, the salesperson is still the weakest link. But I do like what you said, Sean, that you would go back and purchase from them. So you find it through them, you do your initial walkthrough with them, but then you maybe go look at one in person, maybe at a show. That would probably be the best way. And then go back to them and actually do the purchasing. And by purchasing through them, they have something called a file cabinet, and it's on organize all your documents. You'll ditch the paper in a sense. So all of your paperwork is going to be in one spot, a readily digital. So I like that part of it as well. It's even going to include all your documents, your owner manuals, your warranties, titles, everything. The what?
Maintenance schedules, I think it's going to
Yeah,
have.
maintenance. Yeah, so I think that is well worth it right there. I like that, the idea of what they're calling a file cabinet. Yeah, I guess I'm still old school. I don't know.
And I think it goes to like, this is another thing that I think a lot of younger people are going to go to, because like most people now hardly go to stores. They can order stuff on Amazon or for grocery cart delivery. I forget what that's called, but get your groceries delivered, all that stuff. And so this is just another step in that direction. And for people like me that don't really like interacting with other people very much, I would buy from them 100%.
I wonder if you'll still be able to haggle. Like, I wonder if there will be, or if it, I would imagine it eliminates all the haggling. Who are you going to haggle with? I don't know. Like, I feel like there'll be like a Carvana even. I don't think there's any haggling on Carvana. And I just actually have a friend that bought from Carvana, and he loves it. He said, he purchased, I mean, very similar to this. He didn't see the car in person, did everything online. I do believe with Carvana, you get a period of saying, oh, you know what, it arrived. You get 5 days or something like that to look it over. And for whatever reason, I think you can return it. I don't know if that'll be the same situation with this, but he loves his Jeep from Carvana. He said it was such a easy and fun shopping experience. And that's something that you don't typically hear when car shopping. So you're right. Maybe I'm misjudging this, or just not looking at the bigger picture on this idea. And with Amazon shopping and stuff like that, you're right. I do buy many of my things now sight unseen, or just from a photo online. So why would this be any different? I don't know. All right. Since talking with you, I do like the idea a little bit more than I first.
It depends on how good the VR is, I guess. It depends on how good the VR is.
Yeah. And Sabrina, who's younger than I am, she's looking at VR headsets right now because she wants to do like Spanish immersion. And with the VR headset, she needs like an 8-foot space, 8x8. And you kind of walk around this little lobby room and you talk to other people that have VR headsets and you're speaking Spanish to them. So it kind of immerses you virtually into the language learning. So like I said, and she's younger than me. So, this is more for that. It's for two people, apparently. The younger audience and people like Sean who don't want to talk to people, maybe. Who wants to talk to a salesperson, though, really? Unfortunately, I mean, they get such a bad rap, but there's a reason for that. It's not like all of a sudden we just don't like salespeople. You always feel like you're trying to get one over on you. Our next article does present an issue for RVing, and that is counties and cities and things. They do not, for some reason, they seem to dislike when somebody wants to build a new RV park in their area. It just seems to put a negative thought in their minds that it's going to bring crime. We are the nicest people ever. The RV community is the nicest people ever. Not only that, we love touring your city or your county or your area and going to your shops and going to your restaurants. We're going to leave money in your pockets when we leave. But in Greene County, a lawsuit's been filed against both Greene County Planning Commission and the owners of Presidential View RV Ranch. They do not want an RV park built in their area. Sean, where is that area?
I believe it's in Tennessee, right?
I think it is Tennessee.
Yeah, and they were saying that the land is zoned as agriculture land and that a RV park shouldn't be able to go on agricultural land. And it's pretty interesting that we have this article because our next episode that's coming out is we're talking to somebody who actually is developing a luxury RV resort in Tennessee, just outside of Nashville. And he was saying about the zoning, and his land's actually zoned for agriculture as well, I think he says. And he went and met community meetings, the county board meetings, and they voted to allow him to build on that agricultural ground. And here, like where I live in Virginia, the county I live in, you can build a golf course on agricultural zoned land. So you're certainly not growing any crops on a golf course. So
True.
I don't see the problem. But I was reading an interesting thing this morning, Kenny, about there's this term called outrage culture. And it's where people feel like they have to take a stand against something. And I guess in recent years, it's been getting more and more prominent that this outrage culture is taking stands against stuff that you wouldn't have heard about 5 years ago. I think that, these people saying, oh, it's agricultural, they're probably, they're going to take away farmland and stuff like that. I think it's just all part of this outrage culture. And I think nowadays you're going to have, I'll call them negative Nancy's, but I'm not being gender specific there, but you're going to have these people that just want to take part in this outrage culture and be negative about it, even though it's good for the community.
Yeah, and you'll hear in the next episode that when Joey would go to these town meetings and stuff like that, he brought a lot of visual aids to show what he envisioned for the RV park to kind of put people at ease. And I think he was well prepared, and you'll hear. It didn't go, we wouldn't say it went absolutely smoothly for him, but I think he was able to win people over by showing what he was bringing to the community, being so well prepared. So if you're listening and you're thinking about building a campground, like do a lot of work before you even present the idea. do a lot of prep, and you'll hear Joey talking too. Is have a good team around you, because this is his first campground. So just have a good team, do a lot of prep work, and I think that really paid off in his situation. And looking forward to you guys hearing that episode and just what he is bringing to this RV resort. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, and it's just terrible that there's so many towns and counties that don't allow campgrounds to be developed in some very beautiful places, probably too.
Yeah, I think it's a misconception that we are looters. Almost is the impression that I think a lot of people get, that we're there to cause problems. We're drinking. We're not. I think we're the exact opposite for the majority. We're the exact opposite.
But I will say, I guess, in fairness to the people that don't want it, I mean, if you look at RVing in like the regular news, like CNN, Fox News, all that, what stuff do they report on that has to do with RVs? It's not usually that people are out having fun. It's people living on the street in RVs and, ruining home prices because they just park this abandoned RV on the street and live in it, but they're not emptying their sewer tanks right. They're not doing any of that stuff. And then when it gets too terrible for them to live in anymore, they just leave it there on the street. So, I mean, if you start hearing things like that, I guess you could get a negative attitude about RVs and camping, RV camping, I guess, in general. But that's certainly not, that's a small minority, I think, of the RV world, and certainly not the mainstream RV world.
Yeah, I agree. It's a small portion, but the media probably makes it look like a bit of a larger portion. And they are showing these people that aren't necessarily in RV parks. They're not using the RV parks. They're literally just parking in front of people's houses and, yeah, not moving anywhere. Yeah. Yeah. So be interesting to kind of follow along on the story and see what happens. Are they going to get shut down or will they be able to build their RV park? Moving on to some exciting news. I'm sure this is not the first time Sean and I are talking about it. Hopefully, it's not the first time that we're talking about it. But the Tucson convention is coming up really quick. It's going to be in, or I should say, the FMCA Tucson convention is coming up very quickly. And Sean and I will be there. We're doing live episodes every morning of the show at 9 a.m. So if you're going to be there, come by and say hi to us after the show.
Is it true, Kenny, that people that live near there can get a free 1 day pass?
That is true. Yeah. Yeah. So I received an email from FMCA, I guess because my Arizona is my home base, because it wasn't, the email did not come through my normal FMCA feed from email. It says, oh, you live in Arizona, come see for 1 day, get a free pass to the FMCA convention that's happening in Pima County, Tucson. And I was like, oh, I didn't even, I didn't know this was such a thing. So that, yeah, I wanted to share that information with all of you out there. If you have Arizona as your home base, if you have a house or any type of property in Arizona, you get a free pass for 1 day to come to the FMCA show, and you get to do everything that they have there, all the events for that day. You can come by and see Sean and I live doing our podcast. You can go into the vendor hall. Um, I think it's great that FMCA is opening it up to everybody for that day. You don't need an RV. You don't need to be a member. You just come on in and check out the show.
That's cool.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool too.
Yeah, and they have lots of entertainment, lots of fun things to do during the day. They also have all the latest and greatest RVs out that you can walk through. So yeah, that's pretty good that you can get in for free.
It's definitely a full day event. So if you are thinking about coming out, it starts early, and I want to say the last entertainment show is like 7, maybe 7:30 at night. So it's an action packed day from the time you get there, between the vendors, the RV tours, the shows. They usually have great food trucks there. So you can easily make a day out of this and for free now.
So Kenny, you're also taking advantage of something that's always at FMCA, and that is fantasy RV tours.
I am. Yep, this is my third fantasy RV trip. Sabrina and I are going back to Mexico. We'll be driving down with a group of about 14 other RVers, I think. We'll be taking this trip further south than before. Last time we only traveled maybe 70 miles south into Mexico. This one's closer to 400 miles south. And we're going to get parked right on the beach in Mexico. It is a couple nights, no hookups, but that's fine with us. And the big payoff is you park on the beach, and then they take you out in these tiny little boats, and you go out and you go see the gray whales. And these gray whales are so friendly that they will come up to these boats, and they come up. They want to be pet. They want you to touch them. They want to look at you. Apparently, gray whales are very curious of us just as much as we are of them. So they said, when you're on this boat and you're looking them over, they'll be looking you over too, but they like to be touched. Like it's not just a hands-off experience type of thing, which has me a little nervous, to be honest. I'm not the most comfortable person in water. I've seen Jaws a few too many times, and these are very small boats, and these are 90,000-pound whales. So I think, not that I think anything's on purposely happen, because they are incredibly friendly, curious creatures. But at that size, I just feel like, oh, they could accidentally tip the boat over. Like do they know that they are that much larger than we are?
Kind of like a bull in a china shop.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. What if there's happens to be a clumsy whale out there one day? No, but we're really excited about it. It's a 14-day trip. So we take a couple days to get down there. We then spend I think about 3 nights on the beach, and then we take a couple more days to get back up. And in between, we're stopping at wineries, we're stopping at restaurants along the way, different campgrounds. World Fantasy RV Tours just has everything laid out for you. So we get an itinerary of what we can see, and we got live entertainment on some nights, we got restaurants some nights, we got wineries some days. It's a action-packed 2-week program.
I'll be curious to hear how it goes.
Yeah, so if you guys are listening to this episode right now, take a look at the Beyond the Wheel podcast Instagram, because I will be sharing some photos from that trip on our Instagram in our stories for our Instagram stories.
Oh, okay. I think that wraps it up, Kenny. This was a really good episode and lots of interesting news about the RV world. And we want to thank everybody for consistently listening to the podcast. We really appreciate it. And if you have any ideas on who or what you want interviewed, send us a note. Use our contact us page or reach out through Instagram and let us know. And we'll definitely try and get those people or products on the show. We got some great episodes coming up. I think we've talked about a couple here, and the next one following this will be the Lockers Southern View Luxury Motor Coach Resort, which is a great episode for getting a really good look at behind the scenes of what it takes to actually develop a campground from nothing. So really looking forward to that one coming out. And until then, safe travels, everybody.
Looking to get out there and stay out there? Battleborn Batteries lithium-ion batteries are here to power your RV, marine, and off-grid adventures. Designed as an easy drop-in replacement for traditional lead-acid batteries, these reliable solutions have 2 to 3 times the power, charge 5 times faster, are a fifth of the weight, and last 10 times longer. Offered in a variety of models in unique sizes and shapes, ranging from 50 amp hour to a robust 270 amp hour, and backed by a 10-year warranty. Battleborn batteries are built to fit your needs and power your experiences. On the road, on the water, and off the grid, reliable power is here. Check them out at battlebornbatteries.com.